Time is precious, my son, and you have been keeping yours well.
And when night comes, I'll go to place fit for woe, walking along the darkened valley with silent melancholy.
I would prefer him alive if possible.
Blade Runner is a strange game to review, because your expectations will probably determine how much you enjoy what Westwood Studios created.
And his twitchy partner in the suit looked like he was just itching to chainsaw a couple of kneecaps.
If you're expecting an action game where you hunt replicants throughout the streets of Los Angeles, you might leave disappointed. Blade Runner has remarkably little action.
Howie says you're a master chef.
Do not come back here! Air bad!
Instead, it is built around investigation, examining crime scenes, collecting evidence, questioning suspects, and deciding how to deal with the people you meet.
You're not even going to arrest me? Gotta go, Daddy-O!
In many ways, it was remarkably forward-thinking, anticipating games such as Heavy Rain or L.A. Noire, where investigation, environmental interaction, and player decisions become more important than traditional action. Released for PC in 1997, Blade Runner was developed by Westwood Studios, best known for Command & Conquer. Rather than simply adapting Ridley Scott's 1982 film, the game instead follows a parallel story.
Now they're going to see exactly what lies on the other side of the horizon.
You play as Ray McCoy, another Blade Runner operating in Los Angeles at roughly the same time as Rick Deckard. Characters and events occasionally overlap, but McCoy has his own investigation, allowing the game to remain faithful to the film without simply recreating it.
Big caliber, possibly off-world combat weaponry. Ballistics might give me a fix on it.
The studio also developed its own visual technology, combining detailed pre-rendered environments with three-dimensional characters, dynamic lighting, and atmospheric effects. The result sits somewhere between cinema and interactive fiction. Characters can behave differently, relationships can change, and your decisions can lead towards different conclusions. For 1997, this was enormously ambitious. Almost 30 years later, its atmosphere and approach to interactive storytelling remain compelling, but actually playing it, that's a more complicated conversation.
Year and a half on the job, it was still the dirtiest work I'd seen. Where's Captain Bryant?
Took a sick day. Got himself a heinous case of ptomaine poisoning. He asked me personally to run the unit in his absence.
Gameplay is probably the least impressive part of Blade Runner, which is an unusual thing to say about a video game. At its core, this is a very simple point-and-click adventure. You control Ray McCoy almost entirely with a mouse, moving around environments, examining objects, talking to characters, and traveling between locations using your spinner. There are occasional chases and dangerous situations that ask for faster reactions, but they are rare. Combat is also very basic. Draw your weapon, point, and shoot. There is a shooting range tutorial, and different ammunition can be bought from Bullet Bob, but the system has very little depth.
You got any decent ammo for my piece?
You mean the good stuff? 'Cause I know them police-issue spitballs just don't cut it.
Fortunately, combat is never supposed to be the focus. Investigation is far more important.
The last electronic tech that was still produced on this continent.
Crime scenes contain evidence, while conversation with witnesses and suspects gradually expand the case.
McCoy, LPD. Mind if I ask you a couple of questions?
Questions? They always need answers.
Exploration itself, however, is limited. Locations are often beautiful to look at, but if there is no clue, character, or narrative event waiting there, there is usually very little reason to explore them. The most interesting mechanics come from McCoy's investigative tools. The KIA, or Knowledge Integration Assistant, automatically collects evidence, suspects, and information. On paper, it is an excellent detective database, but in practice, I barely needed it. By the second half of the game, I rarely opened the KIA at all, because Blood Runner seldom requires you to study that information in order to progress.
Of course he's gonna say that, but he's wrong. Very wrong.
A little more successful is the ESPA. Taken directly from the film, it allows McCoy to analyze photographs, zooming and enhancing different areas to uncover hidden evidence. It is mechanically simple, but it makes you feel considerably more like a detective.
That guy sure gets around. Give me a hard copy of that.
The same applies to the Voight-Kampff tests.
It's your birthday. Someone gives you a calfskin wallet.
During certain encounters, McCoy can use the famous machine to determine whether someone is human or replicant, controlling the questioning while observing psychological reactions.
Interesting idea, but I'm still gonna give you the test.
Again, it's not especially complex, but Esper and Voight-Kampff work because they reinforce the fantasy of actually being a Blade Runner, and that is the defining characteristic of gameplay. There are no progression systems, skill trees or character builds. Level design is straightforward, and most interactions ultimately involve moving somewhere, clicking something, or talking to someone.
A toy dog. Well, isn't that cute?
Blade Runner is excellent at making you feel like a detective, but only reasonably successful at giving you interesting detective work to do. As a traditional video game, it can feel surprisingly empty. As an interactive detective story, those simple mechanics are easier to appreciate.
Things going good at Tyrell Corporation?
Boring. Old man Tyrell's been on a Wagner kick lately. He never shuts up.
You also do outside work?
Sweetie, I never go outside. It's bad for the glands.
How about Nexus 6? You know a lot about them?
I think you should be going now.
Understand good, it holds deep meaning for me now. Where be your research on Nexus 6?
Where Blade Runner lacks mechanical depth, it compensates with narrative ambition.
Zubin was the first Nexus 6 I'd come up against. There was something in his eyes, an almost primordial desire to live.
Ray McCoy is a relatively inexperienced Blade Runner, investigating the killing of several animals at a pet shop.
What's Gooza got you doing tonight?
AM at Runsitter's.
Animal murder.
An apparently simple case that gradually connects him to a group of replicants led by the mysterious Clovis.
Tiger, burning bright. Forest of the night.
The opening acts are easily the strongest part of the story. The investigation develops naturally, as you collect evidence, interrogate witnesses, and identify the people involved.
Those murderers also destroyed the camera. Thousands of Jinyens worth.
There is a genuine feeling that we are assembling a case rather than simply following objectives. Unfortunately, the second half of the game is considerably weaker.
McCoy, LPD.
The investigative structure gradually disappears, and the final acts feel rushed.
Did you feel bad when they killed those animals?
Characters and revelations arrive much faster. Some motivations receive little development, and what began as a careful detective story becomes increasingly convoluted.
No time for chit-chat, Slim. You want to save your ass, we gotta blow this joint right now.
That is particularly disappointing because the writing surrounding the central plot is often very good.
You've done a man's job, sir.
How come I don't feel good about it?
Who knows?
McCoy is interesting precisely because much of his personality is left to the player.
Are you really the hunter, like Father says?
It's my job.
Why? What do you have against us?
Nothing, it's just the law.
He can sympathize with replicants, remain loyal to his duties, or become an aggressive and uncompromising detective.
I never thought she'd turn out to be a rep sympathizer.
People are unpredictable.
And, inevitably, Blade Runner raises the question at the heart of the universe. Is McCoy himself a replicant? The game refuses to provide one definitive answer. I understand why. The ambiguity suits Blade Runner's obsession with identity and gives the player ownership over McCoy. Personally, however, I think it is a missed dramatic opportunity. Discovering definitely that McCoy was a human or replicant, and then forcing the player to deal with that revelation, could have created one of the strongest moments in the game.
You wake up one day and find it's all been a dream, or you wake up and discover you've been asleep all the time and the nightmare is real. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know who I was.
Fortunately, McCoy is surrounded by a memorable cast. Crystal Steele is an experienced Blade Runner, and, depending on McCoy's choices, can become either an ally or an enemy.
Freeze! Don't even go for it!
Her hostility towards replicants makes her an effective ideological counterpoint to a more sympathetic McCoy.
Oh, those skin jobs got no respect for anything that truly lives and breathes.
Clovis is even stronger. Sophisticated, composed, and strangely poetic, he is more interesting as an ideological threat than a physical one.
These are extremely rare animals of the highest quality. What a coincidence. So am I.
He genuinely believes in the replicant cause and carries himself with a dignity that makes him much more compelling than a conventional villain.
We stand a greater chance of success than you, Lieutenant.
But he also ends up suffering from the rushed second half.
That is the price for humanity.
His introduction promises more development than a final act delivered.
He spoke!
You're certainly a man of your word.
The supporting cast is similarly uneven.
Admiring that bishy cat, ain't you? I don't blame you, it's a classic ride in a deluxe sport package.
Crazy Legs Larry, Bullet Bob, and the twins Luther and Lance immediately established distinctive personalities.
You're Luther and Lance?
Hell of a smart cookie there. Take your guns and your violence elsewhere. We've got important work to do.
On the other hand, characters like Lucy, Lieutenant Guza, and Sadiq are less developed. Sadiq in particular reveals an interesting motivation very late in the story, a human fighting alongside replicants because of his relationship with one.
What about you, Sadiq? Aren't you a killer?
You bet, ma. Human too. My woman, she replicant.
But spends most of the game as little more than Clovis' violent companion. Westwood also connects McCoy's story to the original film without allowing those connections to dominate. Rachel, Dr. Tyrell, Hannibal Chu, Leon, and J.F. Sebastian all appear briefly but meaningful.
You wouldn't be hiding anybody, would you?
No, sir. There's nobody here but me and my friends.
Gaff is especially effective, appearing almost like a mysterious observer of McCoy's journey and reinforcing the sense that there may always be something about McCoy that even he does not understand.
Go home and get some rest. I'm sure you need it.
The pacing is partly controlled by the player. You can investigate every location and exhaust conversations, or move through the case much faster. That freedom suits a detective game, but it does not solve the structural problem. The first half takes its time, while the second seems determined to reach the ending. For a game that depends so heavily on narrative, that inconsistency matters. The world surrounding the story is more convincing. Much like in Ridley Scott's film, Los Angeles remains fascinating because Westwood understands that world building often happens through small details.
2 minutes. That's how much time I give every stranger that wanders in here off the street.
References to the Phobos Wars or the Moonbus bombing hint at events beyond McCoy's investigation, while mundane conversations reveal how strange ordinary life has become.
Oh, see, I was right.
For example, real sushi is now a luxury.
Real sushi was a luxury reserved only for the elite, since most sea life had become radioactive after the Third Terran War. The rest of us had to eat new sushi, soya mixed with off-world lichen.
Eggs are largely synthetic, with McCoy referencing childhood memories of eating a real one.
I didn't have time to stop for synthetic eggs. I remember tasting a real one back when I was a kid. It was like liquid sunshine. Damn tasty.
These little details make the world feel larger without explaining everything. And Perhaps that restraint is exactly why it remains so compelling.
It's like I said before. You retire a human, your career is over. Your life too, maybe. But we don't live forever, do we?
We got no time to be patient. Your woman, she be getting sick.
I promise you, she'll not die here on Earth.
I promise somebody will.
Believe me, he's the least of our problems.
You're talking crazy. The hunter be dangerous.
A fool sees not the same tree a wise man sees.
I'm no fool, man.
If Blade Runner's gameplay exposes its limitations, its visual presentation shows where Westwood truly excelled.
As I explained to Mr. Deckard earlier, I've given the Nexus 6 model a pass.
The influence of Ridley Scott's film is obvious from the beginning. Los Angeles is buried beneath darkness, rain, and neon. Industrial structures tower over narrow streets, advertisements illuminate decaying buildings, and almost every location sits somewhere between technological progress and urban collapse.
Last time I had a 3 was when some hooker vomited Thunderbird on Bryant's desk, and yours truly led the cleanup crew.
Westwood recreates the visual language of the film through lighting, architecture, and cinematography, but also uses that foundation to create new locations that still feel authentic to the same universe.
How romantic. What is this girl's name?
Technically, the game takes an unusual approach. Instead of fully polygonal 3D environments, Westwood combines detailed pre-rendered backgrounds with three-dimensional characters, then uses dynamic lighting, shadows, and environmental effects to give those static scenes life. It works remarkably well. Rain, steam, reflections, moving lights, and neon prevent the environments from feeling like paintings.
This'll only take a minute.
Even today, Blade Runner can be beautiful at times. But, naturally, the age is visible. Resolution is low, characters lack detail, and some elements clearly reveal the limitation of the technology. Animation has aged even worse. Character movement can look awkward, especially during conversations, sometimes approaching the stop-motion quality. But the environments remain the visual highlight.
It's a flawless replica. We used a real one as a model.
Apartments feel claustrophobic and lived in. Streets are dirty, crowded, and wet. Corporate spaces feel sterile and imposing, while underground areas become increasingly oppressive. The contrast between deep darkness and aggressive neon lighting is particularly effective. These environments do more than recreate the appearance of Blade Runner. They recreate the mood.
All out on patrol when I got
The cinematic presentation is also strong. Cutscenes frequently mirror the framing, camera movement, and composition of the film, helping McCoy's story feel as though it exists just outside the frame of Ridley Scott's movie. The interface deserves credit too. Kia, Esper, and the Voidkampf machine are presented as pieces of technology inside a world rather than abstract menus, reinforcing the sense that McCoy is actually operating them. Technically, Blade Runner has aged. Artistically, much of it still works remarkably well.
He had a friendly way about him, but you didn't want to turn your back on him if you were less than a friend.
You must have a little faith, my friend. Without contraries, there's no progression.
How can you trust any of their kind?
We have been manipulated by them, correct? Now they're going to see exactly what lies on the other side of the horizon.
Blade Runner would not be Blade Runner without its sound. The original film owes an enormous part of its identity to the soundtrack by Vangelis, which created a difficult challenge for Westwood Studios. Frank Lapaki wisely builds upon that musical identity rather than trying to replace it, combining synthesizers and atmospheric instrumentation to preserve the mixture of cyberpunk and film noir. The soundtrack complements the visual design well. It can be melancholic, mysterious, and threatening, but it's usually more concerned with atmosphere than spectacle. The soundscape is equally important. Rain, machinery, traffic, and industrial noise prevent Los Angeles from ever feeling completely silent.
You know who deals in insects down here?
You don't want insects? They're no good companion. But fish. Fish are good.
Weapons and individual effects are functional rather than remarkable, but the ambient audio gives the city much of its life.
That'll do, Sadiq.
Voice acting carries even more responsibility in a game dominated by conversation, and the cast is generally very strong. Mark Bedinghoff gives Ray McCoy enough personality to remain engaging without defining him so strongly that the player's choices feel inconsistent.
That's right. Ray McCoy, Rep Detect, BR61661.
Lisa Edelstein is convincing as Crystal Steel.
I think we're all overdue for a little off-road paid vacation.
The standout, however, is Mark Rolson as Clovis. He combines menace, poetry, and dignity in a performance that elevates the character beyond the script. His calmness often makes him more intimidating than aggression would.
Gentlemen, take a moment to evaluate your situation.
Several actors from the original film also return, including Sean Young as Rachel, James Hong as Hannibal Chu, John Turkel as Dr. Ellen Tyrell, and William Sanderson as J.F. Sebastian. Their cameos strengthen the connection between the two stories without feeling like simple fan service.
I think you should leave now, Mr. McCoy.
Not every performance reaches the same level. Lucy can sound overly childish, while Sadiq occasionally pushes beyond what feels natural. But these are exceptions in an otherwise strong cast.
I'm thinking our brother not hearing too good.
Ultimately, sound and visuals achieve the same thing. They help make the world believable. And they do it well enough.
Aha! Just the people we were hoping to see, right, Lance? Huh? Nexus 6. And you came to us.
Return to you, my brothers, to ask your help.
Unfortunately, we don't work for the Tyrell Corporation anymore.
You've been continuing your research, I trust.
Yeah, of course. Something drives us on.
Catch me if you can!
Blade Runner is difficult to recommend without knowing what you're looking for. As a traditional video game, it's undeniably limited. There is very little mechanical depth. Combat is extremely basic, and even its investigation systems rarely demand as much from the player as their complexity suggests. Its story is ambitious and often fascinating, but a rushed second half prevents it from fully delivering on its early promise. And yet, I rather enjoyed Blade Runner. Westwood Studios understood what made Ridley Scott's film special. Not simply replicants, void kampf tests, or neon signs, but the atmosphere, melancholy, and ambiguity of a world where the distinction between human and artificial has become increasingly difficult to define. More importantly, they understood that adapting Blade Runner did not mean recreating Blade Runner. Ray McCoy's story exists alongside Deckard's, expanding the universe while respecting what already existed. Almost 30 years later, that remains the game's greatest achievement. Blade Runner may not always be particularly exciting to play, but it is frequently fascinating to experience. It is flawed, mechanically limited, and occasionally frustrating, but also distinctive, atmospheric, and completely committed to what it wants to be.
Thought you were on special assignment.
Wasn't too damn special after I had the suckers out.
In an industry filled with licensed games that simply borrow a famous name, Blade Runner feels like something much rarer, a genuine extension of the work that inspired it. What did you think of Blade Runner? Did its atmosphere and investigation work for you? Or did you also find the gameplay a little too limited? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed the review, don't forget to like and subscribe. And, as always, thank you for your time.
And Runciter lost something like 1 billion chinions worth.
10 to 1, this ain't a job for Rep Detect.
You got something better to do? Perfect your French cooking, maybe?